Hey guys, Octopath Traveler 2 just came out today and I'm here to give you my first impressions after several hours of playing it. Is it any good? Is it connected to the first one? Is it better than it? We're about to find out, so let's begin. So I completed every single character's prologue, obviously there's 8 of them. The first thing to notice is that it does not take place in the same world as in the first game, and it doesn't seem to be connected to it whatsoever. The second thing to notice is that it appears to revolve around a slightly more modern era, pre-Steam era, a fantasy world resembling somewhat the 17th or 18th century. And the third thing to notice immediately is that it plays almost exactly the same as the first game. Some new features are here, but the rest is identical, technically speaking. Combat, its boost features, 4 active allies on one side of the screen, big bosses, elemental weaknesses, job systems, etc. I'm sure some reviewers will say it's basically the same game again, just like what they said about Valkyria Chronicles 4 being the same as the first one, but it's just the type of series it is in my opinion, so of course gameplay mechanics are gonna be quite similar, nothing wrong with that. But they do use the same graphic engine in HD 2D, still looking absolutely beautiful and very detailed. The world in this sequel is quite the sight for sore eyes. I really like the amount of work and attention they put into every single thing you can see, especially the backgrounds. But my favorite was the sprites for the characters and their animations. They look very well done. Acquire and Square Enix nailed it again. The music so far has been also excellent. It was marvelous in the first game, here it did not disappoint one bit. It just blends in with most scenes, helping you to connect more easily with each protagonist. And finally, the story. Once again, it's different for everyone since this is a character-based video game like its predecessor, not a linear plot. What I found interesting is that the motivations of most characters seem to be revenge, going after the person who ruined them or hurt them in order to get their life back on track. Lots of betrayal here. There's also a few characters unrelated to such darkness, but instead deal with different issues, one of them affecting an entire island, for example. My favorite characters by far are Oswald and Throne. Yeah, weird name, I know, because they seem to be the darkest and most mature out of the bunch, also being the most tragic. As you can expect, the writing is outstanding. So far, it's been an incredibly well-written story with intricate development and adult situations. Every character's prologue hooks you in right from the start, so that's a great sign. My praises go to Kakunoshin Futsusawa, the writer. Once again, you can start with any character you want, complete their first chapter and go from there to its pseudo-open world feature, which is basically recruiting the remaining 7 characters. You don't have to recruit them in order though, like it shows here on the map. It's tempting to go to the nearest one so you can have a full party as soon as you can, and I do recommend doing that, but it isn't forced on you. Again, the game gives you the option to play through their chapters or skip them and focus on yours. It's obviously very advised to play through everyone's chapters as this is once more a massive grind fest, so doing that will net you experience points, especially from their bosses. Now, let's talk about the gameplay mechanics here and a couple of new features. You can move around freely in 3D and dash if you want to, but at the cost of increasing the encounter rate. I found this rate to be somewhat unbalanced, whether you're running or dashing. It still disrupts exploration and it can be either low or high depending on the area. I'm not sure why it's 2023 and random encounters are still a thing. I was hoping they will get rid of them for this second entry, but since both games are inspired by the 90s classics, I guess they wanted to resemble even their most annoying feats. Anyway, it's no big deal, just a minor complaint. A new feature is that you can use small boats to get across areas or find treasure chests. That was nice, especially since water is one of the most beautiful things about the graphics. Personal skills are back, but here they change depending on the time. You can change from day to night at any time and skills will change too. In other words, all 8 characters have a day skill and a night skill. They're all quite useful for either story purposes or gameplay mechanics, like gathering info or stealing items, for example. The game actually encourages exploration in towns, not just because you may find items or chests around. It does it because you can put some of these path skills to use, encouraging even NPC interaction quite often. Like I said, you can change from day to night at any time. Also, it's important to mention that monsters are stronger during the night, but they also give more experience points. But before we get to the combat, let's talk briefly about the job system. Once again, you'll be able to have 2 different jobs equipped and your abilities will carry over from the original. Equipping a new job will increase your stats and let you learn new abilities, both passive and active. In Throne S Chapter 1, for example, I was able to learn a new job, the Inventor, by finding this guy while exploring around. He invents things and gives you the Inventor job. By getting the required materials and bringing them over, he'll invent something for you. And guess what? You'll be able to use his inventions during battle as long as you have a character with the Inventor job. It's pretty cool. Overall, these gameplay mechanics aren't the most original or unique out there, but they're simple, concrete, and easy to understand. I love them for that. Last but not least, the combat. For those who haven't played the first one, don't worry, you can start with this one no problem. The first chapter of every character is kinda easy, and you'll get some challenge during their boss fight. It'll get much harder from there, so be prepared for a hard JRPG as there are no difficulty modes here. Anyway, this is a turn-based RPG. The point of the combat is to exploit the enemy's weaknesses. Some will have more than others, being weak to a specific element or a type of weapon, or several of them. All characters can equip up to 2 different weapons, maybe more if you equip them with a new job. Enemies have a shield protecting them from bigger damage. By exploiting any weakness though, you can reduce it and eventually break them for 1 turn. That's when you want to use your boost feature. You see, characters get 1 boost point per turn, and by clicking the right trigger multiple times, you can use up to 4 points to attack several times or do massive damage with a skill while the enemy is broken. Characters will have attack skills based on their initial job and more depending on the secondary job you equip them with. All sorts of regular support skills are also there for you to use, like healing, recovering, buffs, debuffs, etc. One new addition are the latent skills. Throughout the battle they'll activate and you'll be able to use them during your turn. These skills are unique to each character and may vary, but they're mostly to perform an attack that'll cause greater damage. Back is that some characters can recruit temporary allies that can be summoned during their turn. Like before, they'll do something like an attack, a buff or debuff, but leave after a few turns. You have to recruit them in towns first, of course, and everyone can be recruited back after they leave their party. And finally, perhaps you've been noticing characters in my party right now that are none of the 8 protagonists. That's because most of them have their own exclusive but temporary allies for their prologue chapter. They all come with their own unique skills and actually level up after battle, but you can't customize them like having them learn new abilities or equip jobs. They will only join you for a short period of time, a mission or 2, and leave at some point during the first chapter. These temporary or guest characters, as they're usually called in JRPGs, was a really cool addition. I liked it. And yes, all bosses are huge in size again, taking forever to kill. Their annoying self-healing is back, as well as their temporary buffs to launch a big attack towards a specific character or the whole party after 1 turn. I feel the entire battle interface and system is pretty much an excuse for these epic boss fights. It's technically what I will call a boss JRPG, since bosses are one of the highlights of its gameplay. Regardless, I love the heck out of this battle system. So far, this is an excellent RPG. I'll go ahead and recommend it based on those first several hours alone. I greatly enjoyed what I've played so far. I can't say yet if it's better or worse than the first one, but I can say at least it's just as good. I'm also very happy it wasn't a Switch exclusive like the first one originally was. This is also on PlayStation 4, which is where I played it. It's also on PS5 and Windows. No Xbox release yet, weird, considering the first one at least got there digital. I'm sure they'll include it at some point. Anyway, those are my first impressions of Octopath Traveler 2. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!